everyone. Welcome back to the Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Red Sofa. Very pleased to be joined by Dr. Ulrich Wieland, who leads logistics at BMW Manufacturing in the major operation in Spartanburg. Uli, you've joined us here on stage talking about resilient supply chains, strategies for building more flexible and resilient supply chains. What are some of the foundational principles that you would point to required to achieve this?
Yeah, out of my personal perspective, there are overall 7 principles which are extremely important. The first one is not really the supply chain itself, but it's really the product. So first of all, you need to be sure that you really meet customer demand, and particularly for an automotive OEM, this means technological openness. The second aspect is localization. So it's always good to be highly localized in the main markets. And of course, this is due to scale effects, not possible everywhere, but in terms of robustness, having a local production and supply chain in main markets is a huge success factor. Third aspect is to do scenario planning. It is a fundamental mistake to optimize on a certain premise and a certain point. It's extremely important early on when designing a production and supply chain to really think about completely different premises than you have originally in your planning, and to check how robust the system is in these occasions. The fourth aspect is operational excellence. So that's the basis for everything. The fifth topic, in my personal point of view, is data transparency. Data transparency, online availability of data is absolutely crucial, while of course maintaining data security and cybersecurity. Without cybersecurity, everything can be gone in a second. The sixth aspect is to take the right decisions at the right point in time, and particularly in volatile times, not to overreact, to also not react based on simple gut feeling, but really based on data, and to have transparent what you really know and what you not know, and then really find the right point of decision. And the final and perhaps most important success factor is communication and collaboration. So without having the right culture and strong collaboration with all of the process partners in the supply chain, this will not work. So this is for me the basic and very important factor.
You mentioned scenario planning as one of these foundational principles. And again, with so much uncertainty, this seems essential. Have you at BMW been taking new approaches to this, looking at new tools and ways that you can do this in an even more, let's say, integrated way?
Yeah, scenario planning on the one hand side, of course, requires the right data and tools, and there's a lot which is available in the market by now, and also many tools which we are applying. Perhaps even more important is to implement scenario planning truly in the decision process which you have in the company, because overall, typically, there are still most decisions taken based on business cases, and you need to really closely collaborate with strategy departments and also controlling departments in order to implement a decision process which truly reflects scenarios. And that is typically what really takes the most time, and also lots of convincing people and convincing the right people within the company.
Maybe on a related point, you mentioned the importance of local for local supply chains when it comes to resiliency, and not just in the context of tariffs, of course, but in the context of meeting your market and being close to your suppliers. What are some of the ways that logistics can better or best support in that local for local decision process?
At least out of an OEM perspective, it's extremely important to be really involved early in the process. And out of an OEM perspective, this is really during the product development phase. You can only really influence the supply chain if you also influence the product. So beginning in the early phase of the development of a product, you really need to be involved. You need to bring the right information to the table, because on the one hand side, everybody wants to be, perhaps seems to be, a logistics expert, but in many cases the facts are a little bit different than the gut feeling again, and therefore to be really involved is key at the right decision points, and these are typically much earlier than in the end the operations will be running in.
Another point that you referenced was data transparency and the importance of that let's say, collaboration and connection, communication across the supply chain. How can that further improve in automotive logistics today?
In my perspective, it is on the one hand side, it has already improved a lot. Also, if I look at the collaboration with our suppliers, in many cases there is also great openness to get information about their operations, about their OEEs, about their stock situation, which is extremely helpful. But we are also driving this, for example, in Europe with a collaboration based on a, let's say, system called Catena X, which should enable all parties within the supply chain to systematically share data at the same time in a very confidential way, and making sure that only the relevant parties get access to it.
Absolutely, and Catena X, of course, developing in North America now as well in collaboration with AIG. As you know, we recently did a survey across automotive logistics on inbound and come up with some interesting results. I wanted to ask you, what are some key inbound logistics priorities for BMW and Spartanburg this year?
For us, I must say, within the study, there are many findings which are 100% fit for our challenges. For Spartanburg, however, there are a couple of additional ones. We're just now getting prepared for the next generation of vehicles. Spartanburg is getting prepared also to be electrified, to build battery electric vehicles. Therefore, we are also preparing an assembly hall which will in the future produce battery electric vehicles at the same time as internal combustion engine vehicles, and to really adapt the system to this new challenge of having a quite diverse supplier structure, and then also 2 assembly halls within the plant is something which for us in inbound logistics is the main challenge we're working on in the moment, together with very strong supply chain partners. Without them, it wouldn't work out. We're very happy about this collaboration, so looking into a bright future.
Absolutely, and that may go some ways to speaking to my final question. You, in your foundational principles, you put operational excellence as an essential as well. Of course, in parallel, you're managing these different scenarios, different complications, as you've just outlined in this case. What are some of the ways to maintain this operational excellence despite the lack of certainty running through the supply chain?
I think the core is that, of course, in the end, operational excellence is the core of everything. On the other hand, you won't be able to really run in an operationally excellent ways if the other 6 principles are not in place. So let's say these 6 principles and operational excellence are complementary to each other and only work together. And then we also come to the extremely important point of true collaboration. I think that's in the end the real success factor, to be open with each other. Also, if any issues pop up, if problems pop up, yes, we do have data transparency also with our logistics service providers. In many cases, it's, however, still the telephone, the brief call, on simply letting each other know what's going on and giving an early hint in advance. And this only works if you really trust each other and help each other and have a culture of really getting it done together.
That's a great point. You don't need an AI tool to do that, really. You just keep people informed. Uli, thank you so much. I would call this the 7 virtues of a resilient automotive supply chain, and I think you've really laid them out very well from us and for our audience at this conference. Thanks so much for joining us on the Red Sofa.
Thank you.
And keep up more with automotive logistics on our survey, on content from Uli's session and many other speakers across the event. Thanks very much.